Okay, so now chapter 3, we'll do a real deep dive on securing your crypto from hackers, right? So if you're brand new to crypto, these are the most common ways to get hacked, right? One, exchange hacks. What does that mean? Basically, how hackers will hack you is they will go through your exchange. So Coinbase, Binance, whatever, right? And they'll hack your account. And ways to prevent getting your account hacked is making sure you always generate random passwords that are long that you have never used anywhere else, right? So you want to use a password generator. Trust me on this. If you don't use this, you will get hacked, 1000%, right? If you're using the same password, that's how you get hacked, right? Because to go deeper into how I got hacked, right? That's what they did. I mean, I thought I was being cool, being secure and everything, but basically I had my Gmail account, which had 2FA, two-factor authentication, and it still got hacked. Yes, with 2FA, right? So what I believe happened is this. Even though my Gmail had 2FA on it, the password recovery functionality on Gmail does not require 2FA. And basically, the one went to Gmail, said forgot password, and Gmail sent a password reset notification to my college email. And I didn't use my college email in like almost 10 years. And guess what? My college email didn't have 2FA at all. And the password for my college email was part of this data breach online, right? So you can check if your email has been hacked by going to sites like, I think I've been pwned. Right, so basically you can come here and go to ihavebeenpwned.com. This is the site. And basically all these different data breaches that are not your wrongdoing, the company goes through and basically gets hacked, right? So if you pick any random email, let me just take a look. Which one should I pick? Let's just pick, this is not my email, but maybe somebody else's email, right? So this one, ian@gmail.com, right? They've been pwned, right? Through data breaches, right? So this person had their account information at 8fit, which is a health and fitness application, get hacked. 8tracks, Adobe, Animoto, and basically, I mean, lots of different companies, right? So with me, mine was part of a Dropbox and Adobe data breach, right? So basically, all the account information and passwords, they get stolen. Basically, those companies are hacked, and that data is resold on the black web. Sometimes it's even free. Sometimes it's a data dump, right? So basically, once those hackers have those data, once they know your account has been pwned, they can go on the black web and look for 8fit data dump, find your email there, your password, and log in, right? And with me, right, the issue I mentioned is my college email had no 2FA. And because back then, I mean, I finished undergrad in 2010, grad school in 2012, and I was not thinking about getting hacked for crypto back then, right? So, I mean, if you're a target, they'll come after you, right? So the way past that is to use password generators, right? So ones I recommend in the book, LastPass is one. There's so many. There's Dashlane. I mean, I use all of them for different things, right? But basically, you come here and it generates a password for you, right? Now, let me just check something. Give me 1 second. I want to just see if I can showcase this. Right, so basically, not sure, okay, it's not showing my extension pop-ups. Okay, so I can't showcase that. But basically, this lets you create random passwords, right? And I recommend any password for anything you ever create. Once you enter crypto, no looking back. Every password should be long, as long as you can make it, right? Basically 15 characters or more, ideally, right? And everything, I mean everything should be password protected with a long password, right? So basically, no password gets reused anywhere. Everything, every site is a new password. The great thing about it is this stores everything in your computer or browser. So there's LastPass, there's Dashlane, there's even an open source version, right, which I use, Bitwarden, right? Bitwarden is pretty cool. If you really want to go off the grid, you gotta, where's Bitwarden? So Bitwarden, you can actually run your own server, right? Because it's fully open source. So if you want to go the open source route, I have used this as well. It's pretty good, not as user friendly, but if you want to go completely off the grid, if you're worried about, for example, LastPass, Dashlane getting hacked, you can run your own node, your own server for Bitwarden that nobody has access to except you, right? So this is pretty powerful for that, right? But essentially, all these different password managers, you also want to have two-way on them, two-factor authentication, right? So the lots of different apps you can use. But basically, two-factor authentication is a mobile code you get on your phone via an app that you have to punch in to log in, right? Have you ever logged into a site? Never use your phone or SMS for logging in for 2FA, because if you use your phone, you'll get hacked. I'm sorry. In crypto, they'll SIM swap you and it's a wrap, game over, right? So what do you do then? If you're in crypto, always avoid SMS, right? Because let's say you have your account on Coinbase or Binance and they sent you an SMS code to log in. The way they hack you is they call, the basically two main ways you get hacked via SMS or SIM swaps, right? One, the dark web, right? This has been known, the stories on this, basically rogue employees, right? Basically employees for phone companies going and selling like admin login information on the dark web. Right? Imagine an employee at AT&T, whatever, Verizon, right? Who hates their job and wants to make some money, right? Whether a few $100 to several grand or more, they go on the dark web and say, hey, I'll give you access to these phone numbers, whatever, right? Stuff like this does happen on the dark web. And basically, they will port your phone number to somebody else. And once that hacker ports the phone number to their phone, they can intercept those SMSs, right? Basically, their phone becomes your phone. I mean, your phone becomes their phone, right? So they can go to Coinbase once they have your login from being hacked, and then put in that SMS verification, pretending to be you, and they're into your account. This happens all the time, right? Guess what? There's a solution to protect against that. This is what I use. It's called Ifani. I had an interview with a founder. Basically, it's designed for people in crypto and people who are targets, right? They protect against SIM swaps because they have what they call 11 layers of security. So basically, nobody's going to finesse them into, obviously nothing is bulletproof, but nobody's going to finesse them into getting hacked, right? Or giving out your SIM swap, right? Because they verify everything. They'll hop on a call with you, video call to make sure it's you. They'll freeze the account. Like, they're very popular amongst people in crypto, amongst athletes, celebrities, anybody who's a target. If you have a large amount of money, I would just have a second phone and use Ifani with it. I'm not even going to use our affiliate link. Just go up there, join them, thank me later, tell Hasib I sent you. But I mean, this is basically if you have more than 6 weeks in crypto, you gotta have Ifani. I mean, they cost $100 a month, but I mean, that's better than getting hacked for 6 figures or more in crypto. All right, so basically no SMS, use 2FA, and protect your phone from SIM swaps with Ifani. And then back to exchanges, right? Apologies, I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. So we talked about phone hacks, SIM swaps. We talked about exchange hacks. Then phishing attacks, right? So it's very common for hackers to play the numbers game by having fake emails, because hackers, they can copy and paste a website. They can copy and paste Coinbase, Binance, Facebook, and have the site look exactly the same, exact login information with a different domain name. And basically trick you to submit information. I've had lots of people in crypto tell me that they've gotten hacked from phishing attacks. And the way it works is they send out an email. Email looks legit. You click that link, you put in your information, and turns out they steal your information, your password, your login. How do they do that? They can be very deceptive with URLs, right? Let me see what URL is popular for hacking. Okay, yeah. So for example, let's say I'm a hacker, right? And most people will go to Binance.com, right? You can trick somebody by having something that says BinanceC.om. And if somebody's not looking, they'll get you, right? But a real smart hacker will find something that is hard to tell what it is, right? So let's say we have Binance.com. Let me just see this. I'm trying to see what website would be good for this. Because hackers can use other characters that make it appear legit. So for example, it's common for anything with like a capital I and a capital L, and a lowercase l, look exactly the same. And just think about that. A capital I and a lowercase l look exactly the same. So a smart hacker could switch those two in the domain name or even in the email, and you think you're going to the actual site, and you end up getting hacked, right? How do you prevent that? One, always double check the link you're going to make sure it's legit. What I like to use is actually SimilarWeb plugin, right? Because if you're on any big site, any large site, you know they get lots of traffic, right? So if somebody took me to the wrong Binance site, I would see that this site gets no traffic. That would tip me off that this is the wrong site, right? Because Binance they get almost 200 million visits a month, right? So if you go to some site and it gets nothing, it's completely unknown, right? So for example, if we go to Ifani, right? Ifani has nothing, right? So this will tip me off, right? So that's one aspect. Then I highly recommend you change your DNS to a DNS provider that filters out for phishing and malware attacks. This is now getting kind of advanced. There's actually one in the book that was by IBM. It's 9999, basically 4 nines. Yeah, quad 98, right? This is totally free, but what they do is using a DNS is basically a domain name server. It's basically, think of it as an address book for the internet, right? When you put in, because the internet is allocated via IP addresses, but nobody actually types in IP addresses. You put in a domain name like Binance.com, which then results to an IP address. So that is done via a DNS, a domain name service, whatever. But not every DNS vendor is created equal, right? Quad 9 is the best out there that I've found. If you know any better ones, let me know, right? Basically, they actively filter out phishing and malware attacks, right? So they have a huge database of phishing sites that they block. They won't even let you go to them. So let's say somebody is smart enough to trick you via a phishing attack, via email. You click that email. If it's in their database as a phishing site, it won't even load, right? So the hacker gets nothing. So I highly recommend you leverage this if you're in crypto, right? So, and they update this every single day, right? And there's a short video on how to set this up, right? For Windows and Mac. If you have this, you're halfway home in terms of securing yourself in crypto, right? Then the other aspect, let me see here, is getting hacked via your network, right? So this is the tough pill to swallow about just being on the internet, right? Everybody gets hacked without even knowing it, right? Well, not everybody, but a good portion of people get hacked. If you take any device and put it on the internet, within a few hours, you have what they call automated port scanners that go through and scan just the whole internet. Scanners can scan the whole internet in 3 to 5 hours, but let's say 3 hours or 4 hours, right? So you can have an automated bot that can go through trying to hack every IP address in the whole internet in 4 hours or less, essentially. So anything that goes online has already been scanned and can get hacked, right? So how do you prevent that? Well, you should definitely get a firewall if you're going to be on the internet, right? Now you can have a software firewall, but an even better option is a hardware firewall. Hardware firewall that has what's called deep packet inspection filtering. Basically, it's not just protecting you from getting hacked via software, but even through the router at the hardware level, right? So now this gets somewhat pretty advanced and pretty techy, so without trying to lose everybody, the one I recommend in the book, now the one in the book, honestly, there's several in the book, but the one I use, or I've used, is pretty advanced and it's very technical and it's open source, but hard to set up. So if you're on a techie, do not use that. Let me see which one it was. Yeah, I used the Netgate SG. Let me see which one I use. Actually, not that one. I use the, so you can, depending on how many devices you have at home, a good one to use is Netgate 3100 pfSense. So basically anything that supports pfSense. pfSense is basically software for your hardware firewall that's open source, but because it's open source, it can break often. So if you're on a techie, I would avoid that. You can even find other hardware firewalls. Let me see. Hardware firewall. But basically anything that's enterprise grade is more than good enough for you in crypto, right? So actually, give me 1 second. Let me check Amazon. Okay, so I'm going to Amazon. I put in hardware firewall. Let's filter for anything over 4 stars. Yeah, so all these are different options that are pretty good. If you're not tech savvy, there are simple ones like Protectly is pretty good. I think that one I covered in the book. Sophos, this I've not used, but Sophos is the virus company for Macs. Ubiquity is also pretty good. But basically, you want to find something that's pretty good. All right. There are some firewalls that are simpler. I think Symantec has some. Symantec, however that's pronounced. Symantec. Yeah, so like this firewall is pretty easy to set up, I believe, when I last looked at it. So for those who aren't so tech savvy, this one can manage. Or what you can do is just call an IT guy and have them set everything up for you. Now that's not ideal because then you have an extra risk element, and that if you have a rogue IT guy that hacks you, right? So, but if you trust the IT guy, if it's a well-known company that's reputable, just do that. Just tell them you want to have a hardware firewall, and they can do that for you, right? But basically, deep packet. The reason why deep packet DPI is vital, it basically filters through every single byte of traffic going between your computer and your router and the internet. That way, if any hackers tries to have any malicious code, like let's say a phishing site that tries to hack your computer or whatever, the DPI can block that at the router level. Like it is that good. Like that's what enterprises use. Now, obviously it's not perfect because even enterprises get hacked, but all these are extra layers of security we're adding. Right, so I definitely recommend having Quad 9 for DNS and having a hardware firewall that supports DPI. Okay, so Now let's go back to the book. Okay, so social engineering attacks, right? Social engineering, what is that? It's basically, you can have all the best security in the world, but if you're not smart with the brain, somebody can get your information just by tricking you, essentially, right? So basically think of social engineering as using the internet, spies, whatever, right, to get information from you, right? And this is probably a common way that most people do get hacked, right? What's an example of a social engineering attack? In terms of companies, it's somebody just pretending to be an employee, going to the company offices and just asking for information, right? So if you're interested, one of the books I read as a kid is a classic, Kevin Mitnick. He's a famous hacker, that was known for social engineering, right? If you want to read more about that, his book called The Art of Deception, right? Controlling the human element of security, right? Basically, social engineering attack could be, imagine somebody calling up your phone company, pretending to be you, right? And having them port their phone number to their new phone. You think it sounds like it won't happen? It happens all the time, right? Like Michael Turpin, I think it was a social engineering attack. He got hacked for over 25 million, unfortunately, via AT&T. And AT&T has a bad reputation for getting hacked all the time, right? I mean, I would if you have AT&T, I would switch. I would get Ifani. I would do whatever. But AT&T has a bad reputation for people hacking them all the time. But this is an example of a social engineering attack, right? I mean, how many times? Because most people don't really check or verify whatever you say, right? So most social engineering attacks happen via phone, with people pretending to be you, right? If somebody can call any vendor and pretend to be you to get information on you. That's basically what you do, right? And the ways to protect against that is to have 2FA on everything, call the phone company, whatever you have, and have them add a PIN to your account that prevents SIM swaps or phone transfers without your permission, or have a PIN. Actually, here's a good example. I know somebody, a YouTuber, who almost got SIM swapped, right? He had a PIN on his account with his phone carrier that prevented anybody from calling in and having his phone number ported, right? He had a PIN, he basically had a setting on there that you could only do it in the store. But guess what? This hacker went to the store and tried to tell the store he was just YouTuber to have them transfer the account, right? The good thing is the store employees didn't fall for it, right? But imagine if they did, right? Because they asked him to show ID and everything. I was like, this person does not match this person, right? But hackers will go to extreme lengths to get your crypto, right? So before we even start, prior to even talking about investing in crypto, we have to make sure we're not going to lose our money, right? Through bad means. But essentially, that's social engineering. And let me check the comments here. Hey, what's up, Cello? What's going on? Is there a way to get internet from different source? I mean, in terms of ISP, yeah, I mean, so the other part I haven't covered yet, which is a good segue, VPNs. If you're on the internet, you gotta have a VPN to use, right? What is a VPN? Virtual private network. But basically, a VPN changes your IP address when you're on the internet, right? So basically, it conceals your IP address. That's basically all it does, right? There are lots of good VPNs out there. The ones I like, that I recommend, I mean, I use several. So there's private internet access. Let me pull all these up. PIA. There is, which one do I use? Because I have a bunch of them. So because I travel a lot for crypto and the world, and not every VPN works in other regions. So like, there's one VPN that works in China. If you're in China, there's one that works in other places of the world. But essentially, here I'll just cover PIA, right? NordVPN. I haven't used NordVPN, but I know people who trust it. I've used PIA. They do take crypto as well. But basically, it protects your privacy, right? It secures your data. And the main thing you're looking for a VPN is one that does not store your logs, right? So one doesn't store logs and one that is good. So there's private internet access. There's Express VPN. I think this was the one that worked in China when I was there, because in China, they block lots of VPNs, right? So there's one here for if you want to look into that. Then there's one other one that I use, because the one I use, let me see if I can look it up. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, so there's also iVPN. iVPN is pretty good as well. This is the one I mainly use. All right, you can create an account. But basically all of them are pretty much good, as long as they don't store your logs, and they have different regions, and they have fast speed, and they also have like anti-tracker functionality here. They also have their own firewall, right? Now, if you want to get super advanced, you can even run your own VPN, right? Basically, if you have your own server, you can run your own VPN. You can do that through, for example, like DigitalOcean or DigitalOcean VPN. I think, yeah, so if you want to run your own VPN, you can do that through DigitalOcean. This is if you're techie. But yeah, running your own VPN in crypto, having VPN is needed in crypto, right? But basically at a high level, that's how you secure your crypto from hackers. Okay, so now we're finally going to talk about how to actually invest in crypto, right? We've been going on for what, over an hour, and now we're finally getting to investing, right? So this is definitely a masterclass. So if you're enjoying this class, definitely smash the like buttons, share this video with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend.